In the 1990s, television shows sold us a very specific, highly curated vision of the American upper middle class. Picture the classic sitcom family. If the parents collectively made $100,000 a year, they had a spacious, detached four-bedroom home, two cars in the driveway, a yearly summer vacation, and a fully funded retirement account. Earning a six-figure salary was presented as the ultimate mathematical finish line. Once you crossed it, your financial anxiety was supposed to permanently disappear. Fast forward to today, and that finish line has completely vanished. The math isn't mathing. If you look at recent data from financial institutions like Lending Club, you will uncover a staggering reality. 51% of Americans earning over $100,000 a year are currently living paycheck to paycheck. Even more alarming, nearly one-third of those making over $200,000 report the exact same level of financial suffocation. If you are a W-2 high earner with a prestigious job title, a senior director, a VP, a specialized consultant, or a tech engineer, society automatically assumes you are swimming in excess cash. Your older relatives probably think you have it all figured out. But behind closed doors, a massive segment of the upper middle class is secretly drowning. Many are staying in unfulfilling jobs and taking on more debt just to keep up with the appearance of success. Today, we are going to tear down the facade. We will examine the brutal reality of performative solvency, uncover how institutional gatekeepers have hyper-financialized your basic needs, and explain exactly why your high-status career is structurally designed to keep you broke. The greatest financial illusion of modern adulthood is the gross W-2 income. When you look at your salary on paper, it feels like wealth. But liquidity, the actual cash you have left over at the end of the month to build freedom, tells a horrifyingly different story. The modern upper-middle-class earner is being systematically crushed by what economists call the triple threat of modern extraction: student debt, childcare, and healthcare premiums. Let's look at a real-world scenario. Imagine a highly educated couple bringing home $180,000 a year. 2 decades ago, this income meant absolute financial freedom. Today, it is a logistical nightmare. To acquire those high-paying jobs in the first place, both partners likely had to finance heavily inflated university degrees. That creates a massive sunk cost right out of the gate, acting like a hidden mortgage that drains hundreds, if not thousands of dollars from their monthly cash flow before they even pay taxes. Next, add the astronomical cost of modern childcare. In many U.S. states, sending 2 children to a decent daycare center now costs more than annual in-state college tuition. A family can easily spend $3,500 to $4,000 a month just so both parents can legally go to work. Finally, consider healthcare. Even with so-called premium corporate health insurance, out-of-pocket deductibles and family premiums have surged entirely out of proportion with wage growth. Stagnant wages, coupled with increasing costs for essentials, leave working adults with incredibly tight budgets, severely limiting their capacity to save for the future. You aren't going broke because you take too many luxurious vacations to Europe or eat at Michelin-star restaurants. You are going broke because the fundamental entry fees to simply maintain an upper-middle-class existence have been hyper-financialized. By the time the federal government, the student loan servicers, the daycare centers, and the insurance companies take their cut, your $180,000 salary has the exact same purchasing power as a $60,000 salary did a few decades ago. As a result, many are forced to dip into their savings just to cover standard expenses. A desperate move that provides temporary relief, but ultimately jeopardizes long-term financial goals. So, if the math is so terrible, why do high earners keep pretending everything is fine? To understand this, we have to look at a brilliant behavioral economics concept known as the Diderot Effect. Named after the 18th century French philosopher Denis Diderot, this psychological phenomenon states that obtaining one new possession often creates a spiral of consumption, compelling you to acquire more things to build a cohesive identity. Diderot famously received a beautiful, expensive scarlet robe as a gift, but once he hung it in his modest home, he felt that his old furniture looked terrible next to it. So he bought a new rug, then new chairs, then a new desk. He completely bankrupted himself, trying to make his environment match the prestige of his one new item. This is exactly what happens when you secure an upper middle class job. You don't just get a paycheck, you adopt a completely new societal identity. When you get that promotion, you naturally want to move to the right zip code with the right public school district. But living in that zip code means your 10-year-old Honda suddenly feels out of place next to your neighbor's Teslas and Range Rovers. So, you finance a luxury SUV. Then, you realize your kids need to be in the right, expensive travel soccer leagues, and you need to wear the right brands to the office. Social media dramatically amplifies this by creating relentless pressure to keep up with the curated trends and lifestyles portrayed online. This creates a state of performative solvency. You are financially bleeding out, but your nervous system is terrified of the social death that comes with stepping off the prestige treadmill. You are paying a massive, ongoing psychological tax just to signal to your neighbors, your in-laws, and your coworkers that you belong in their socioeconomic bracket. It is a self-imposed financial prison, guarded entirely by your own ego. But we cannot place all the blame on individual psychology. The game itself has been structurally re-engineered against you. Historically, the American middle class was protected by stable pensions, subsidized higher education, and highly regulated utility and healthcare markets. Over the last 3 decades, virtually all of those institutional safety nets were dismantled, and the risk was shifted entirely onto the individual. Corporations replaced guaranteed pensions with 401(k)s, transferring all the market volatility onto your shoulders. Universities transformed from public goods into luxury brands, extracting decades of your future labor through student loans. Furthermore, you are navigating this economy at a time of unprecedentedly high borrowing costs. The Federal Reserve's rapid cycle of tightening monetary policy recently raised the federal funds rate to its highest range in over 2 decades. This aggressively increased the cost of borrowing for student loans, auto loans, and credit cards, trapping high earners who rely on credit to bridge the gap between their expensive lifestyles and their actual cash flow. The upper middle class earner is the ultimate target for this extraction economy. Why? Because you make just enough money to qualify for massive amounts of credit, but not enough money to actually live off the yield of your investments. You are essentially a highly paid, highly educated cash cow for institutional lenders, healthcare conglomerates, and the real estate market. So where does this leave us? If you are trapped in this cycle, what is the way out? The solution is not waiting for a macroeconomic miracle. And it is not simply downloading another budgeting app. To escape the upper middle class trap, you have to undergo a philosophical identity death. You must intentionally and ruthlessly decouple your self-worth from the aesthetic of the 1990s American dream. True wealth is not a luxury SUV sitting in the driveway of a heavily mortgaged house. True wealth is unallocated cash flow. It is the profound, quiet power of being able to walk away from a toxic manager or an unfulfilling job, simply because your monthly expenses are drastically lower than your income. Reclaiming your financial freedom requires you to commit what society views as status suicide. It means driving the boring 10-year-old car and letting your coworkers wonder why you haven't upgraded. It means renting in a slightly less prestigious neighborhood or downsizing your home, even if it confuses your family. It means actively rejecting the Diderot Effect and refusing to pay the exorbitant societal entry fees that keep your peers secretly broke. You have to make a deeply uncomfortable choice. You have to decide what is more important to your nervous system, looking rich to people you don't even really like, or actually being free. What is one upper middle class status symbol you have recently decided to completely abandon to save your cash flow? Let me know in the comments below. And if this video helped you see through the illusion of modern wealth, Hit that like button and subscribe.